Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Let's Talk It Out platform. I'm Al Cliff Shows, aka Trey Busy, and you are listening to the fifth episode of the Shine the Light on Toxic Relationships podcast. First, I was calling it a series, but I'm not going to let Celicia leave and go anywhere, so it's going to now be known as podcast. She's been put on retainer, so I would like to welcome on certified life coach and published author Celicia Shan, aka Coach C.
Okay, put me on the payroll then, boss. I'm just playing. Hey everyone. I hope you guys are doing great. I hope you guys are staying healthy, staying in, and finding ways to maintain your sanity. How are you today? Trey Busy, aka Alec. All of those.
Yeah. I'm doing all right. It's a great day because it didn't rain today, surprisingly. It's been raining for the last few days, it feels like. Or maybe it's raining right now and I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get tonight started.
Mm-hmm.
You have a question directed towards you, and I'm going to quote it. Hey, Coach C, as I began my awakening journey, I lost a few close friendships that started to become toxic. Looking back, it's apparent that as I healed spiritually, certain friends of mine only enjoyed me in my lower form. Now, when they call with the drama of their toxic relationships, I can no longer relate. I noticed that these same friends will only call me with drama, but when things are great, I wasn't who they called. I brought this to the light, and this only caused strain to our friendship. The friendships fizzled away. Can you explain trauma bonding in a relation to toxicity and what we can do to restructure those relationships if at all possible? When do we know when to let go?
Mm. When do we know when to let go? So, before we begin, as a disclaimer, I am currently not a therapist. I am a life coach who is very knowledgeable on spirituality, and I love the mental health field. We are body, mind, and soul. So, sometimes the lines can get blurred. And this is also Mental Health Awareness Month. And so, discussing trauma bonding and ending toxic relationships go hand in hand because what we attract and experience is what we believe to be true for ourselves in our minds, right? So yesterday, it's interesting that I got this question for this week because yesterday I saw a trending post on my Instagram by Troubled Ted 6. I have no clue who this guy is, but apparently he's an artist, a rapper. So you young folks that's listening, don't come for me. I really don't really keep up. But anyways, I thought it was interesting and that this question came right in. He posted a picture of Jay-Z and Beyonce, Keisha Cole and Gucci, Snoop Dogg and Shantae, basically saying, and I quote, what would life be without passion, struggle, and pain? Some of our favorite songs that shape our ways wouldn't never been made without infidelity, problems, etc. Never should pride nor fear of embarrassment guide you. As I lived, listened, and watched, I see the easiest shit to do is run when trouble comes. And in most cases, it's because of what you think, know everyone else will say about you. Not realize, not realizing no one is exempt from the bullshit sometimes. Perfection is what you make it. You gotta be resilient. You gonna either go crazy making decisions based off everybody who say you crazy for what you feel or fall crazy in love. I can't tell you how long, but in time through it all, it'll make sense to you. This is that hashtag thug love. End quote. Okay. I don't know what his voice sound like, but whatever. I hope that was close to it. Okay, woo. The toxicity. So this is what I mean by society idolizing toxic relationships and healthy ones seem too good to be true. So we settle. The black women are portrayed as strong, resilient ones who will stay through the cheating and the lying and the manipulation and the abuse. And we see this in movies, on social media, all over. And I'm tired of having the strong back and the strong shoulders carrying the pain and the BS for the sake of quote unquote love. And the saddest part is that there are some little boy and little girl who idolizes this celebrity who has 933,000 followers. There is a difference between working through adversity and maintaining toxic relationships. I'm just going to be blunt and say your level of self love and self worth is what determines what you allow. Again, but the people in the back, your level of self love and self worth determines what you allow. So the same little girl and little boy grow up believing what this man is talking about to be true, will live out their adult relationships just like this. Their friendships are toxic, their intimate relationships are toxic, and they are addicted to toxic relationships. Now let's break down what it truly means to be addicted and why some of you are still in that toxic relationship, that toxic marriage, and still holding on to toxic friendships and toxic family members. Trauma bonding. What is trauma bonding? So, trauma bonding leads to a relationship dynamic based on intermittent reinforcement. Trauma bonding is loyalty to a person who is destructive. It is an attachment bond that is created through repeated abusive or traumatic childhood experiences with the caregiver, whereby the relationship pattern becomes internalized as a learned pattern of behavior for attachment. Now, there is a spectrum of different types of attachment dysfunctions. We're talking about trauma bonding. So basically, you feel a sense of attachment when there is turmoil and struggle. So going back to the question, when she was able to relate to the drama and the toxicity of her friends' relationships, they called her all the time. When she could no longer relate to the trauma and the abuse, they slowly disappeared. So we are all energy. And as you may or may not know, so when you are no longer a match to a situation, it will become painful for you to hold on to. As one person evolves, holding on to the toxic friendship becomes harder and harder. There was nothing else to connect to once the trauma was gone. So with these type of friendship dynamics, whatever the newly aware friend used to feed that toxic friend has been withdrawn. So it's like depriving oxygen to a candle flame. The flame would eventually die out, right? So now the aware friend has opened up space for the new friend for new friends who are just as aware to take the place. The old friend will probably move and replace the friend with another toxic bond that can add fuel to her toxicity. So as far as restructuring that relationship, you have to determine if that is something that is possible for the both of you. Nothing is intended to last forever except for our spirit. So keep that in mind. Because energy never dies, it is only transferred. But in order for the relationship to continue, both should find some commonality that you both can connect on to maintain the friendship. But when your shoes doesn't fit anymore and you keep wearing them, it eventually your toes will get corns and you will begin to form bunions. You'll begin to form bunions. So you will pay the price. And that is the same with friendships. When you hold on to toxic things, eventually over time, you will pay for it. So now why is it so hard to let go? What keeps us going back to these toxic situations knowing that it isn't going to change and that holding on is literally killing us? Why is that artist Trouble? Why does he want you to be resilient? And this is because of intermittent reinforcement. This is the second part. Now I love intermittent. Once I learned what intermittent reinforcement was, I swear it was like my mind exploded. You know that emoji with the explosion going around his head? Like that was me. Because I'm like, oh my God, everything makes sense now. So intermittent reinforcement is a reward and punishment tactic where when the behavior is performed, there's a certain reward. But not every time the same behavior is performed, there is a reward. So this study was done on mice. So for example, on a continuous reinforcement schedule, a mouse will pull a lever and will receive food. That's the reinforcement. every single time it pulled the lever. So on an intermittent reinforcement schedule, the mouse would only receive food every few times. It is typically random and unpredictable. There is an increased likelihood the desired behavior will continue with intermittent reinforcement conditioning and the behavior will last longer than continuous reinforcement. So gambling is an example of intermittent reinforcement. You don't win every time or win the same amount when using a slot machine. This wouldn't be exciting or fun. The reinforcement is intermittent and causes a positive and euphoric response in the brain that in some circumstances can lead to a gambling addiction. So now in relationships, for example, when you are treating your man good, cooking, cleaning, and doing everything you think is right in the bedroom, and he is treating you right and making you feel loved, that is reinforcement you are getting from the behavior of you doing everything quote unquote right. Now, when you continue these acts as being a good woman, you will expect to receive the same reaction from your man, right? But then he cheats or is abusive and you are not understanding why. After all, you are a great woman. So you continue to be a great woman, you forgive him, and now he's acting great again, making you feel loved and protected. So now you are on a euphoric high because he is finally acting right. That's your reinforcement. Then he cheats again, and it is back to his toxic behavior. And many of you stay in this relationship because this type of behavior creates an addiction. You get high off of the relationship when it is doing great. And when you are low, you are searching desperately again for that hit. You break up to make up, and the cycle goes on. So the feeling of love is what we all need in order to survive as humans. We are relational beings. When we think of going without love, it feels like death. So this type of addiction is extremely strong. You aren't staying because of love. You aren't staying because of the kids. You aren't staying and holding. You aren't holding on and staying because of that friendship, the years of the friendship. You aren't holding on to that family members because of the blood. It is because of intermittent reinforcement. You are addicted to the toxicity. Now, reinforcement for some is like proof that they are worthy. And if you haven't discovered this for yourself, you will find your hit from people outside of yourself. So, of course, there are many layers and many different circumstances, but it will still boil down to the root, and that is you are addicted to toxic relationships and struggling to discover your worth. So, because this is an addiction, it is easy to create reasons to justify why accepting this toxicity in your life is okay. It'll be hard to it'll be hard to picture a life outside of the abuser. And it will definitely feel like death when you think about leaving, right? Because when you think about leaving, you're thinking about that love that you're no longer going to get. And when we think about not getting love, we identify it with death because love is our survival. We're humans. Psychologically, they did a test on babies where one, and I'm thinking, don't ask me, right? Like the details, like who just put their babies up for this. But I know that they did a study on babies where they only fed and put one set of babies down. They fed them and only put them down. And then the other set of babies, they fed them and loved them and nurtured them. And the babies that did not get love eventually died. So, yeah, because this is an addiction, it is easy to justify why accepting this toxicity in your life is okay. So indeed, a part of you have to die. And that's the part of you that identified with the toxicity that is addicted. It may be hard to break the habit and you may need additional outside help to create a plan. You will go through withdrawals like an addict, but you will survive and you will come out better. Everything is set up for your growth and your expansion if you choose to see this. It's crazy how the route that seems like death will actually save you, and the route that seems safe will actually kill you faster than you think. Because stress kills, stress kills, stress kills. Okay? So what happens when you stay in these toxic situations is you are slowly dying. And you may not be able to see it on the outside, but it is indeed happening on a cellular level. So here are three questions you can ask yourself to get yourself started on in some reflection and thinking deep and determine if you should let these toxic relationships go, or even if are you even in one, right? So the first question is, are you resolving problems with solutions? If you are reliving these same problems over and over again, this is called insanity. Okay, honey? It's called insanity. This is a sign that there is no growth in the relationship. Either one person or both people are not growing. The second question you should ask yourself is, are you solving issues as they come up in a respectful way? Healthy relationships are solution based relationships. If an issue arises and it just remains an issue, this is toxic. These issues should be able to be solved in a respectful way, and that is with no physical abuse, name calling, or damage of property, right? And the third question is, are you seeing areas of growth? Is this relationship evolving? Are you seeing growth in how you communicate with each other? Are you both understanding and respecting each other's boundaries more? Signs of sustained growth is an indicator of a healthy relationship. Sustained, right? So if you answer no to any of the three questions, you may be in a toxic situation. Now, as a coach and as a person that just learned over time, I don't give advice because at the end of the day, it's your life, honey. It's your life. Whatever you choose is for you on your journey and your expansion. So if you know me personally, you will know I am not loyal to disrespect. I am not loyal to belittling. I am not loyal to liars and manipulation. I am loyal to my peace of mind, my happiness, respect, and joy. And yes, we are all flawed. No one is perfect, like Trouble said. No one is perfect, right? You do have to create your world of perfection. And some of my longest sustaining relationships were not perfect at all. We just continue to work on it and grow, and they are based off healthy communication and respect. It is important for us to take our healings into our own hands and not pass down these toxic BS. Love yourself enough to where anyone that is in your presence will feel elevated. It is time to end the cycle of toxic relationships and normalize healthy ones. Okay? Now, if you haven't already done so, my book is on Amazon. At the end of the day, it's me overcoming the addiction to toxic relationships. And you can follow me on Instagram at continued_expansion. If you would like a one-on-one coaching session, I am doing a COVID deal full of 30 for 30. That's 30 minutes for $30. If you want to come up with that plan, girl or sir, and you want to get out of that toxic relationship, but you just don't know how yet, let me help you come up with that first step. So if you have any questions, feel free to send them in. I love the questions that you guys have been sending me lately. But that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.